Scoodly doodly doo, it's time for another Welch review.
Yeah, okay. Evening, gang, and welcome to another episode of the Welch Review. Yeah, today we're talking about The Kid Detective. Who do we got going in this film?
So The Kid Detective has Adam Brody in it as Abe Applebaum. It has Wendy Crewson as Mrs. Applebaum, Jonathan Whitaker as Mr. Applebaum, Jesse Noah Grumman as young Abe, Caitlin Chalmers Rosado as Gracie Gulliver, Sarah Sutherland as Lucy, Deborah Tennant as the widow Gulliver, Sophie Nellis, I might mispronounce that, as Caroline, Dallas Edwards as Calvin, Amalia Williamson as Melody Miller, and Peter McNeil as Principal Irwin. And it was written and directed by Evan Morgan. This movie wasn't in theaters. Obviously, not a lot of things are in theaters, but it was kind of a direct-to-DVD, video on demand, that kind of thing. And it definitely seems like it was a hidden gem.
Yeah, so really good film, but just quickly about the plot. Basically, you have an adult now who's a detective. His name's Abe Applebaum. And back in the day, he was like a whiz kid detective. Right, he figured out every issue that was going on in town when his dad decided you don't need this tree house that you do your detective work out of anymore, and he chops down the tree house. The town literally pulls money and buys him an office. This is for a 12-year-old. So that's just how good he is. But now as an adult, he's kind of washed up. And while he can still solve like petty tiny things, nobody really trusts him with anything big, because there was this girl who had gone missing back a while ago, and
well, not just any girl, right?
Yeah.
This is the mayor's daughter, right? This is Gracie Gulliver, his childhood friend, his secretary, right? And she goes, like Sam's saying, she goes missing. And there's already a lot of pressures on children as it is. So imagine a town just so what you gonna do about it, Sherlock?
Yeah, you're gonna find her, bud. You're 12.
You're 12.
There's definitely not police officers we can be pressuring about this.
You haven't even hit puberty.
Yeah.
How are you gonna find this missing girl?
Yeah. So some of that detracts, right, from his ego, dramatically, which sends him into this downward spiral where now he's, not this whiz kid detective anymore. He's an adult in a hard world, and he doesn't have the same confidence that he used to in himself. And not only that, but the town has less confidence in him because he didn't find this girl.
It's kind of haunted him, right? It's stuck to him, right? It's like that cloud that's just perpetually over him all the time.
Yeah. So now as an adult, he's an alcoholic. He shows up to work late, normally doesn't know what day it is. He still takes advantage of privileges that he got when he was 12, like the office that they bought him. He still operates out of and has not updated at all, very obviously, since the day he turned, 12 and a half. I don't know.
And the ice cream, right?
So
he got free ice cream for life,
Yeah.
and then he still shows up to get his the free cone, and the guy just looks at him with disdain.
Yeah.
And I should serve you poop, and then you'd enjoy it.
But anyways, as the show progresses, actually pretty early on, our main character gets a new job, right? Or not a new job, but a new case. So this girl shows up, and there's some allusion to something funny going on, and she's like, hey, my boyfriend was murdered. Can you help me figure out what happened to him? And for Abe, this is like a big chance. He doesn't even charge her. He's like, I need to prove myself, not only to myself, but to the town that I can still do this, that I'm still an actual detective. So the two of them begin investigating, trying to discover what happens, and they have a whole bunch of interesting interactions with different people. Abe constantly puts on this air of superiority as a detective, Later on in the film, he actually comments on how he was being pretentious to try to seem cool. But eventually you start to see some real progression in his character as he begins to unravel this mystery. So
it's not even just finding, clues, solving the case, but it's also like refinding himself.
Yeah. Right?
Because like you're saying, he's been stunted.
Yeah.
Right? He's been stunted since his friend Gracie went missing. And I feel like the girl he's with, Caroline, right, who's played by Sophie Nélisse, she does a very good job. Right?
Yeah.
This is the first time I've seen her in anything, and arguably this is the first time I've seen Adam Brody in a movie I enjoyed. But like he's pretty prominent, and he was in like chick flicks, right, in like the early 2000s. So it's nice seeing him like not as like, oh, the hot guy people are drooling over, but as like, you're a sad man, right? Like you're sad, and like he's trying to figure himself. Like he's more of an everyman, know, and like that's cool. But Caroline, I think, in a lot of ways, helps guide him, right? Like, like where did he turn wrong, and gives him that kind of confidence.
Mm-hmm. And talking about characters and Caroline specifically, actually, and Abe, is as you watch the film, you begin to learn more and more about Caroline. And without giving any spoilers, her past is way more misty, right? Like it's way more hidden and secretive and kind of like really just all around messed up. And you don't learn about that for quite some time. Whereas in contrast, Abe was extremely successful and was just a 12-year-old kid who should not have been expected to find this girl. So you have this dichotomy where you have a character who's very much figured out who she is, understands where she's at, and what she wants to accomplish, but her past is like actually traumatic, whereas our main character is basically had everything handed to him. Not that he hasn't done any work for it. I keep knocking these forward a little bit. Not that he hasn't done any work for it, but he's had a pretty easy life with just like one serious and traumatic roadblock. But kind of continuing on that thought, what did you think about Abe Apple? Well, yeah, what did you think about Abe Applebaum and his character progression in the story, or at least how it was reflected just time-wise from when he was younger to when he was an adult?
Well, I think there's some cool aspects to it, right? While it's sad that cloud hovers him, but it's like, and his aunt in the movie says it like, good for you, right? Like you didn't give up, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of times, you find with people, if something difficult happens or traumatic, they stop whatever they're doing, right? Because they don't want to relive that. They don't want to go down that road. They don't want to be, viewed as a failure. Mm-hmm. And he definitely like wallows in that failure for a while, but like I think he becomes endearing, right? Like because he has this dream, this thing that he's chasing, and he has something to prove and to lose in it, right? Yeah. And like the way Adam Brody goes about it, I feel like everyone's walked in those shoes at least once or twice, where it's like, man, that sucked. It really sucked.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make the most of it, but I'm not catching any breaks whatsoever.
I have no idea where I'm going with life right now.
Exactly, and that's it. No idea where I'm going. I have this little crumb that I think I'm okay at.
Yeah,
and that aspect was good. I also think he plays tragedy like in a funny way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's not done on purpose.
It's not slapstick or like over the top comedy. It's just like very dry and situational.
Right. Like there's a scene where he breaks like in the movies, like, well, this is a movie, but in like action movies, right, the hero or the detective, right, will like kick open a door or something, and like it shows him struggle to get some stuff open, so then he just like smashes something, and it's like that's pretty good. You know what I mean? And then like when he's hiding in the closet.
Yeah, so Abe Applebaum, and they actually reference this, which is actually something that I think that they do a very good job of, is in this film, they'll reference things from the past when he was a kid, and then bring them up immediately in the future. So it was referenced that whenever he would like sneak into somebody's house to try to figure out a secret or like, you know, break a case, he would like hide in the closet, but at the last moment he always seemed to sneeze, like it was a curse. And he always seemed to sneeze and get found out. And when he's a kid, it's cute. But when he's a 30-year-old man, and he breaks into this one house and he's running from closet to closet to closet to closet trying to escape this house, right? Because he finds the information that he needs, but now he's trapped in the house because the family's home again. Anyways, he winds up being trapped in there for hours, and he has to hide in like the daughter's closet. Well, at the last minute, after the mom tucks the daughter in, he sneezes, and then the next thing you know, the whole town is like, that's the town pedophile. We don't talk to him. Which actually in the film brings about one of his lowest points. Not going to get too much more into that because, you know, it's one of those things that, like, it's hysterical when you see it.
Right.
Like,
and you gotta, like, I mean, obviously this is like to hopefully build your interest in it or sway you to check it out, or if we thought it was bad, just give you something. So we don't want to give you everything right away. But with that, right, like some of the other cast, this isn't a really like big ensemble by any means, right? Like, well, maybe it actually died. Let me take that back. This is definitely an ensemble piece in some regard, right? The actors that they have with Abe and Caroline, right? They might not be in the picture the whole time, but when they do step in, they are memorable, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like they have a lot of screen time, but when they're on camera, when they're interacting, they make it memorable.
yeah.
You know, so it is definitely an ensemble piece. However, I do feel like it's definitely not like a huge thing.
Yeah,
Like
it's not like a massive cast.
they've kept it condensed in situational, I guess was the word you.
I think that what they do well in this film is that they keep the same strain of humor throughout the entire film, right? Everybody uses that same kind of dry situational humor. Like, you have this awkward teenage boy who they go to get information.
Dallas Edwards.
Yeah, and he's like afraid to use terminology. He's afraid to use euphemisms, right? Because he doesn't want to sound crude. And he just kind of like embodies this like nerdy 15, 16-year-old boy who, you know, is definitely mommy's favorite child, and, you know, he's very, very close to her, so he doesn't want to, even when she's not around, do anything that might upset her or besmirch his good nature. So, like, the characters are kind of true to stereotypes, but like archetype stereotypes, and at the same time they have like the same dry situational humor. Another one is these kids, the kids on the stoop.
Oh, the emos.
It's just a bunch of emo kids. But the kids on the stoop, our main character has some drugs that he's trying to figure out what's going on. The kids on the stoop are notorious for selling drugs. So he goes over and he's like, you know, where's this come from? And, you know, they're 16-year-old kids who are also wise asses, so they lie to him, right? Which is actually a whole enjoyable scene that we won't spoil for you.
But it just goes to say, right, that Evan Morgan did a really good job selecting people to come in, have their time, you know, their moment to shine, right? And then they don't ever take away from the main characters. They only add to it, which I think is really, really well done. There's some, it's spoiler territory, so I won't dive into it, but like how the film comes full circle.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that.
Is really, 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 really nicely done, right?
Yeah.
Like, just not a lot of movies do that, where it's like through and through, right? Like the first act, the second act might be good, then the last act you're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, or being able to recall something from the beginning and then make it make sense in the end.
Yeah, that hints at or clues off
Right.
the ending. Yeah, so this movie does a very good job of that. Like I was saying in the past, they always are hinting at things. A good example of that, and again, we're not going to spoil anything, but there's a character in the film who has no talking lines at all. All that he does is beat the crap out of Adam Brody, and for the not Adam Brody, God,
Adam Brody,
Adam Applebaum, Abe Applebaum, Adam Brody. All that he does is beat the crap out of Abe Applebaum, and the only hint that we have for like 90% of the film is because he's mad. He's mad at Abe for stipulating, is that the right word? Stipulating him in a crime, like saying like, hey, you're the one who did this crime, you stole this money, right? And the other guy's like, I'm innocent. So now, 20 years after they're out of school, he's still beating the crap out of Abe Applebaum. But that becomes important in the future. Another thing that they do that kind of reflects Abe's own emotions is they show what the town's like in the past.
Yeah.
He's walking down the street and everything is perfect, right? It's like a perfect little suburban town. And then they jump to the future and there's like graffiti all over the buildings and there's, like trash in the street.
And no one says hi to him.
Nobody says hi to him. Nobody likes him. So they do this very good, like, physical reflection of the context of the film, right? So, like, when he's happy and upbeat, the town looks nicer. When he's down with the dogs, the town looks like actual crap. So I think that that's good. It's a really interesting and fun way to both show a contrast in the past and the present, as well as set the tone, right, of where our main characters and heroes are in their life, right? So I don't know. I just thought that they did that
man,
very well.
that's a very extremely well said. You know what I mean? I think to capitalize on that, like, Adam Brody's a good dramatic actor, right? Like, make no mistake, this film has fun moments in it, but by no means is just a straight comedy.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there's some real heavy stuff in here, and then the scene, I won't say who, but at the end, when everything comes full circle, and he has that conversation at the end with who ends up being,
like the big bad.
The big bad, right?
Yeah.
That's a pretty good, dialogue back and forth, powerful even. And especially, I think it highlights the idea of just because you live somewhere and you think it's nice or people tell you it's nice, doesn't actually mean it is, right? Like, people who you might think are there to enhance the town aren't, right? Like, not all people who dress good and act nice are in fact good or nice.
Yes.
I just said the same thing twice. But either way, the point, I say it twice because it's twice as important, right? Like, just because it talks like a duck doesn't make it a duck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think that you're right. It definitely, actually, it's something that Adam says in the movie, right? He says, are you sure that you want me to go through this investigation, because you never know what skeletons you're gonna come out of the closet for each person, and that is something that keeps coming up with every character they investigate in the film, like literally everyone. So I don't know, this movie just does a very good job of maintaining things that they say in the film, even when they say it jokingly, right? Like, when he was saying that to sound, like superior and smart, but then every single character that he investigates winds up having some kind of skeleton in the closet. It might be a small one, might be a big one, but there's always something there. Nothing's always as it seems.
So everything is carefully plotted.
Yeah.
Right? It's flawlessly done, right? It looks like it's like, oh, it maybe just happened, but like, it's written, it's delivered, everything with purpose.
Yeah.
You know, so I guess I don't know if there's anything more you have to say, but I really hope that there's more cases with Abe Applebaum.
Yeah, this was it was a really enjoyable film. Again, it didn't go to theaters, unfortunately, but you can pick it up on DVD. And it's just a really, really fun film. It has some very heavy subject matter, and it definitely does a good job of walking a tightrope in between, you know, just humor and, you know, just kind of chronically depressing. So, yeah, pick it up if you're in the mood for a good mystery, or if you like, you know, if you want to laugh a little bit.
If you want to see Adam Brody do a good performance.
Yeah, if you want to be shocked by Adam Brody.
All right, you heard it here at the Welch Review. We will see you next time.